Hello and welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to be exploring more ideas about how to do outreach. For those of you who are listening to the podcast for the first time, outreach just means any activity, any strategy, anything, any idea that you can come up with for reaching out to potential customers. Now, the reason why this kind of topic is really important is because for the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 decades, there are lots of people who assume that the only way to drum up business is by sitting on the internet, by creating content, by doing things that will lure people to come to you. Now, that is not a bad way of drumming up business. That is what we call inbound strategies for drumming up business. But for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, you will recall that I keep on saying that in the early days of the business, we shouldn't only be doing inbound, but we should be doing both. We should be doing outbound and inbound. So, in other words, we should be looking for ways to get people to come into us and start making inquiries. But then we should also come up with ideas and activities and strategies for going out to go and chase people. So, we need to have a healthy mix in growing our businesses in Nigeria. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Outbound strategies, outreach, new ideas for doing outreach. And the reason why is because I had a conversation with someone on the 12th of January. Let's just call her Jane Doe, not her real name. But of course, Jane is her real first name. So, Jane, if you're listening and you're wondering, is this me? Yeah, actually, it's you. It is the conversation that I had with you that inspired this because we talked about a lot of good stuff, and I think it's only fair that I should come over here and share some of that business goodness with the rest of the community. If this is your first time of listening to the podcast and you're wondering, who is this guy? My name is Tavershima Ayede. I'm a former lawyer turned business consultant, and over here on the podcast, almost every single day, I bring you guys business goodness. I try to solve business problems, and so we come up with different ideas around how to attract your ideal customer, how to build your revenues, how to solve customer service issues, those sorts of things. So, business growth, business development, that is what I'm all about, essentially, over here on the podcast. So, if this is your first time listening, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple, iTunes, wherever it is that you listen to your podcast episodes. Also, share with other people so that Nigerians know that we have solid podcasts like this out there on the interwebs. And then if you'd love to connect with me, you can call, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 080-6466-2140. Now, back to the question, or back to the matter on hand. So I was having a chat with Jane Doe, again, not her real name, and she's not Tiv, in case there are some of you who just reason that, oh, I'm a Tiv guy. Therefore, when I say Jane Doe, I mean Jane, Doo, as in Doe, a Tiv name. No, she's not Tiv, actually. Jane Doe is she from Akure? I can't remember. Anyway, because this was on the 12th of January, this was quite a while ago. So, the business that she does is she is a content writer for businesses, and she had been sending email out to people to try and drum up business. I'm a content writer, you're a business owner. It looks like you might need my services. How far? Would you like to jump on a meeting? Let's have a chat. So those are the kind of messages she was sending out every single day. And of course, she was also sending messages on LinkedIn every single day. Now, the reason why Jane Doe and I got connected was because she sent one message and somebody gave her a stinker, a nasty one. The person replied, and the person said, how dare you send me this kind of message? That look, don't come and be spamming my inbox. That if I need your service, I know where I will find you. It is not you that is supposed to be chasing me. That's the message that the person sent. So when Jane Doe saw that message, first, like most people, she shivered. Because believe me, the first time that a customer will rake for you or shout for you, or the first time that a prospect will give you some violent response. The first time, you will shake small. It's normal. It's just a normal human reaction because now money we define. We're trying to grow our business. So we'll never expect that whether on the phone or on the email or via text message or even if it's face to face, that somebody will just be giving us venom like that. On top say we're just trying to grow our business. Luckily, however, she took it in her stride. She continued, but she made this LinkedIn post just to let people know that my people, see what your sister they face. So. And then of course people commenting and stuff like that. And she took it in the right spirit. But I didn't want her to lose hope. So I just sent her a message so that we could talk about it. Now, there are some of you who are doing this sort of thing every single day as outreach. You find a way to get phone numbers, you find a way to get email addresses, and then you send WhatsApp messages or you send text messages to people and you say, "Hello, Mr. So and so. My name is this. This is the service I provide. It looks like you need this service. Can we have a quick 15-minute phone call so that we can see if there's any fit?" And every day you keep sending these messages. Now, for those of you who send these messages, I'll clap for you because at least you're doing something. There are some people who are doing what? Doing nothing. So if you've been sending these messages, I'll clap for you. However, there are ways that we can be more effective when we're doing business outreach. And one of those things is to look for trigger events or trigger signals. I repeat, before you reach out to someone to say, "What's up? This is me. This is what I do. Looks like you have a need for my product or my service. Can we get together and have a 15-minute chat? Let's see if there's a need for this product or service." By the way, this whole "can we have a chat, 15-minute chat, see if there's a fit," that is a very, how will I put it? That is very American phraseology. I am begging you Nigerians listening to this podcast, stop taking everything you hear on American podcasts and then trying to repeat it hook, line, and sinker in the Nigerian context. Most Nigerian people that you're reaching out to, when you tell them, "Let's have a quick 15-minute discovery call and see if there's a fit." No, no, honestly speaking, how many Nigerians do you think know what a discovery call is? The only reason why you know it is because you're trying to grow your business. You've been looking out for sales and marketing podcasts. You have heard Oyibo people talk about a discovery call. And so you're repeating that exact phrase, a 15-minute discovery call. The average Nigerian does not know what a discovery call is. You're confusing the guy or you're confusing the madam. Then that whole thing of, "let's see if this is a fit." Okay, Americans talk like that. How many Nigerians do you think talk that way? The reason why we know, "let's see if this is a fit," the reason why we know what it means is because we have been listening to Oyibo podcasts. We are in the business of sales and marketing, and so we know some of these phrases that are borrowed from the Oyibo context. The average Nigerian does not know what you mean when you say, "Can we have a quick 15-minute discovery call to see if this is a fit?" The average Nigerian doesn't know what you're asking of them. So please stop using those phrases. Now, if you must use something similar, take it, throw it into ChatGPT, and then ask ChatGPT, "What is the Nigerian way of saying this kind of expression?" You'd be surprised, but ChatGPT, Google Gemini, whichever AI tool you use, is going to give you some nice, culturally appropriate alternatives that you can use when you're reaching out to people. So just try it. A trial will convince you, it will not confuse you. As you used to say back in the day during debate in primary school. So, where was I? So before you slide into somebody's DM or somebody's inbox and say, "This is me, this is what I do, it looks like you need my product or my service, can we have a quick 15-minute discovery call to see if this is a fit?" You need to wait for trigger events or trigger signals. Well, some people call them different things, but this is the idea behind trigger events or trigger signals. What that means is typically people go about carrying on their normal state of affairs. Then something happens. When that thing happens, they now know that, oh, they need a professional. They need somebody who solves this kind of problem. So for those of us in Abuja now, for instance, normally when water board is working, there's no need for Merua. Merua are those people who walk around with what are these things called? Little handheld trucks, pushing trucks with 25 liters of water inside. Normal jerry can. So 25 liters, maybe like 10. So the people that push that thing, that is Merua. So if you live in Lagos, you know what I'm talking about because until you sank your borehole, Merua, I'm sure, was a normal part of your weekly, in fact, your daily life self. They will come on Monday, load 10 jerry can, come on Wednesday, come on Friday, come on Sunday, like that, like that. So, and then of course, there's some places in Abuja. So normally now, water runs in most estates in Abuja, or most estates have their own boreholes. But now, Water Board is showing us shiggy. For the last 1 month, water has just been anyhow, anyhow, anyhow. So if you're somebody who does Merua business, the trigger event is that Water Board is no longer supplying water. So now would be the time as a Merua for you to grab your truck and start moving around estates and be shouting Merua, Merua. That is a trigger event because something has happened that has raised the likelihood that people might need your product or your service. So for those of us in the business to business context, we're trying to chase down business people to sell our services. We need to look for trigger events as well. Now, when I work with people, when I consult for people, I'm not in the business of giving them a fish. I'm in the business of teaching them how to fish. Because if I work with you, I want to make sure that when I'm out of the picture, and after I finish spending your money, that's for those of you who give me money, I want to be sure that you are going to be able to do this thing by yourself and you won't always have to call me. So, for Jane Doe, I explained the concept of a trigger event or a trigger signal. And I told her that now, you know what? Since you have been sending emails, since you have been sending DM on LinkedIn, let us come up with some trigger events for you. Of course, she has more difficulty coming up with trigger events. And I said, okay, you know what? AI tools, artificial intelligence tools, although I prefer to call them augmented intelligence tools, are very good tools for ideation. That's for coming up with ideas whenever your brain is blank. So you can see why I say that nowadays coming up with ideas is not the problem because these tools are there and they're easy to use. So long as you know the kind of thing you ought to be searching for, you will come up with one or two workable ideas so you can now make progress from there. So I told her, let's come up with a prompt. And of course, most people do not know how to prompt. They'll just say, give me business idea for this. And then they'll enter. And then generic things will come out. And then they'll say, AI doesn't work. It's not that AI doesn't work. It's that you don't know how to use these AI tools properly. Now, this is the structure of a simple prompt that we came up with on the spot. So, for me, when I'm teaching people how to prompt, now there are other ways to prompt using AI tools. So go and do your research. But for me, this is just the basic one, simple prompting 101 that anybody, even primary school students, can use. So number one, you say who you are. But please, when you're saying who you are, remember that these AI tools, some of them are connected to the internet. So beware, be careful about privacy. Don't put information that you wouldn't want to be exposed to the public. So don't put your name, don't put your house address, don't put your number of children, don't, whatever. Just keep it generic, but not generic, keep it anonymized. So you go into some detail, but, you anonymize your detail, anonymize your data. I'll explain what that means. So you just need to do that so that the tool will have a proper context for who you are so that they can start giving you relevant information. Okay, right, let me not stress that. So that's the first part. Say who you are. Then you can say the context or what it is that you're trying to achieve. Then after that, you ask a question. So that is a simple 3-step process. Number one, say, this is me. Number two, you say this is the context. You say this is what I'm trying to achieve. And this is where I hang. Then you ask the question, which is, give me ideas for. So you can see it's a simple 3-step process. So for Jane Doe, this was a simple prompt that we came up with. I am a Nigerian entrepreneur who is a content writer for businesses. That is step one. So you can see that, we gave some background, but we didn't go into detail. We didn't drop her name, we didn't drop her state, we didn't drop any of those things. But it's important for the AI tool to know that you are Nigerian and that you're a content writer. So that when it's coming up with ideas for you, it'll come up with ideas that will work for Nigerian content writers and not for content writers who are based in Austin, Texas, or content writers who are based in, Queensland, New Zealand, or whatever. So that is what I mean by you say who you are. So I repeat, I'm a Nigerian entrepreneur who is a content writer for businesses. Then next, we give the context. I am currently trying outreach email campaigns and I want to improve my level of success by looking out for trigger events that might let me know people, that might help me figure out people who might be interested in my services. So you see, that's the context now. First, I'm a Nigerian entrepreneur. I write for businesses. Second, I'm in the middle of doing email outreach, and this email didn't know they work. So therefore, I want to try trigger events. You see, that's the context. Then the last part now, where you ask the question. Give me suggestions for trigger events on LinkedIn, WhatsApp groups, etc. that could indicate when people might need my products or services. I might be open to outreach. So that's the last part. Give me an example of trigger events, but we limited it. We said trigger events on LinkedIn, WhatsApp groups. What again? Okay, LinkedIn and WhatsApp groups. What are the kind of things that people will do or say on LinkedIn or do or say on WhatsApp that will show that they might need my product or my services? Sorry, one moment. I have to turn off my alarm because I set an alarm so that this thing won't go past 20 minutes. I think the alarm is going to go off soon. Okay, yeah, I've turned it off. I just didn't want the alarm going off in your ears. Now, where was I? So that's the structure of the prompt, basically. I'm a Nigerian entrepreneur. I write for businesses. I'm currently doing outreach, but this outreach, it's not pure. My level of success is low. So therefore, I want to try trigger events. What kind of trigger events can I find on LinkedIn or WhatsApp groups that will let me know when people need my product or my service? So summary, that's the prompt that we sent for these AI tools. Now, sorry if the first time I read it, it sounded too verbose, but me and Jane were just, freestyling on the fly. So that's just the first thing that came to my mind. But I didn't make it simple enough. So anyway, we took that thing like that as it is and we just threw it into Google Gemini. Now, Google Gemini is my default. I don't recommend it as the best or anything. It's just that I use free tools and I teach free tools because I don't like people giving me mistakes. I don't want to hear I didn't have money. So I only talk about those tools that don't require you to pay anything, especially the ones that are already easy to access. And the thing is, for most of you who bought your phones in middle of 2025, who bought your phone in 2025, maybe middle of 2024, definitely those of you who bought your phone in 2026, this app, Google Gemini, is already on your phone if it's an Android phone. So you have no excuse. So if you use a phone like a Techno or like a Redmi, a Xiaomi, whatever, go to that folder that is directly on your phone that is called Google. Click on that folder that says Google. Keep scrolling. You will see an icon that has a white background and a blue star on the foreground. Now, the blue star only has 4 points. That is Google Gemini. That is Google's AI tool. If you don't have it on your phone, that's not a problem. You just go to your Google, Play Store. You go to your Play Store and then search Google Gemini. Gemini, okay, Google, we can all spell it. Gemini, Gemini. Then you hit send. And then you see it. Then download. And then you come up with a prompt, you copy, and then you paste it. You can write directly into the prompt, but my phone only get small issue because because I'm using an old phone. My phone is like 5 years old, but I like the phone anyway. And to be honest, even if I had the money to replace it, I really don't want the hassle of beginning to learn a new phone because I'm kind of set in my ways. So honestly speaking, even when I'm going to change, I think I'll probably just move up because what I have is the Xiaomi. It's the 13. 13, but I hear that now it's like 15, I'll be 16. So yeah, that's what I'll probably do. I hope they don't change too many things because I'm really set in my ways now. So because my phone they get issue, that's the reason why I type in some places, then I copy and paste. But for most people, you can type directly into your AI tool and you shouldn't have any problem. So I put that prompt in Google Gemini, and then this is what Google Gemini recommended. Now remember, what we're trying to do is we are trying to improve Jane Doe's business outreach by looking for trigger events. In other words, before we reach out to somebody to say, this is me, this is what I do, this is how you can find me, uh, would you like us to have a 15-minute conversation? Would you like us to have a 15-minute discovery call to see if this is a fit? By the way, I've said that as Nigerians, you should not be using that kind of phraseology. It's an Oyibo thing. Don't use that thing here. Except if you're dealing with some high class people. But uh, anyway, try and use terms and expressions that are native. Should I say native? Terms and expressions that will be easier to understand in the Nigerian context. Let's put it that way. And that's part of the reason why I have this podcast anyway. So, before I go into the trigger events that Google Gemini served up, there's something that I've noticed and I've spoken about in the past couple of episodes, which is that there are lots of Nigerians who are getting ready to move into business and they have 4 or 5 ideas, but they're not making a single kobo off of any of them. So I've come up with a coaching package to make sure that you reduce your chances of failing because you picked the wrong business idea. So if you're one of those people, you're multi-hyphenate, you're multi-talented, you have lots of different ideas, you fancy yourself to be a serial entrepreneur, reach out. Let's see how we can start your latest business or your new business in 3 easy steps. First of all, we're going to make sure that we pick the right idea for you to launch for your business. We'll pick the right idea. Second, we will validate the business idea to show that there is indeed market demand and that people are willing to pay for this product, this service, this idea, and they're willing to pay enough money for the thing to make it worth your while. Then after that, we'll create a selling system for your product, for your service, because the goal of selling is to make sure that people don't just buy today, but that they give you repeat business. They come back time and time again. And also, after a while, they send their friends, their family members, and their associates. So that's the whole point. So if you're in this situation, you have lots of ideas, you're wondering, how can I start? I'm too talented. I have too many ideas. Then reach out. I've got something for you. And I definitely won't stop until I make sure that you make progress in your business journey. So back to Jane Doe. Trigger events. And remember, a trigger event or a trigger signal is the thing that when we sight it, when we see it, when we hear it, we now know that, okay, it is possible that people need my product or service now. So I can now go out and start hawking my products or my services. So back to the example of the Meroa that I gave. If you're a Meroa in Abuja, you're better off going to communities where there's not water board. Or you'll be paying attention to the news so that if you hear that water board is misbehaving in this estate or in that estate, you go there with your Meroa truck and then you make yourself some money. That is called a trigger event. You're just sitting down and then a siren will just blow. And when you hear that siren, it means that, okay, there's a problem here, there's a problem here. People need your service. You will now rush down there. That is what a trigger event is. So, the trigger events that Google Gemini suggested was, let's see. So I'm scrolling through the messages. Yeah. So one was the professional pivot. So that is when somebody on LinkedIn used to do one job and the person is now changing over to another job. Sometimes when people change their career, when they update their profile on LinkedIn, or when they put up stuff on their what's it called, WhatsApp profile to show that they've started a new job. This could be a time when they need the service of a brand storyteller, or a website copywriter, or whatever. Basically, the kind of thing that Jane Doe can do. Because if you've been in business of doing, let me see, if you've been in the business of doing, let's say, insurance. Okay, no, yesterday I said solar sales. Okay, let me stick to solar sales. So if for 2025 you are in the business of doing solar sales, but then now you are in the business of selling let me see uh pumps, water pumps. Okay, yeah, let me stick to water pumps. So let's assume that you are a distributor. So in the beginning, so for last year, you are a distributor for solar equipment. You were in touch with the original equipment manufacturers, and so that's what you used to sell. And then now, 2026, you are now starting the business of selling water pumps and things like that. So this is a new line of business entirely. So this kind of thing now, chances are you will need a new website. If you have the website, the chances are you will need a copywriter because you have to put things up on the website. If you are already using content marketing as a strategy to try and get sales in the solar business, now that you're moving into selling water pumps, you might also need content to help you out in that same regard. So, this is the kind of time now that you need the services of people like Jane Doe. So, the scope is this: if Jane Doe, normally when she's on the internet, when she's on LinkedIn, she's shining her eyes and she's only looking for when people say, "Oh, I'm proud to announce that I have started a new role as this. I'm proud to announce that I've started a new business as this. I'm proud." You know how we do it on LinkedIn now, we Nigerian people. I'm proud to announce. Everything is I'm proud to announce. So if Jane just wakes up every day, every week, and she's looking for I'm proud to announce, I'm proud to announce, and she's only sending messages to I am proud to announce people, the chances that somebody will blast her and say, "Young woman, why are you harassing me with this spam? If I need your services, I will reach out to you. Don't harass me again. This is very unprofessional." The chances of her getting those kinds of messages will be low because she's waiting for a trigger event. She's waiting for a trigger signal. There is something that happened that showed that, okay, this person might need my product or my service. It's not a guarantee that when you reach out, that you will close that deal, that you will get the job. But when you start looking for trigger signals, the chances that, how do I put it? Brian Tracy, in his older stuff, was in the habit of talking about putting the odds in your favor. We're just trying to put the odds in our favor. Yeah, let me leave it like that. I was about to come up with another example, but let me stop here before women will blast me. All right, so that's one that we came up with. Google Gemini came up with new role or new business opportunity. Those kind of people, they're looking for professional content. They might need the services of a professional content writer. Then another signal, we're hiring. So if somebody says on LinkedIn, we're hiring for marketing roles, we're hiring for sales roles, or they put it up on what's the thing called again? WhatsApp. That might be a sign that they need the services of somebody who is a content writer. So you can reach out to say, "Oh, okay, madam, I saw that you're expanding your marketing team. So I'm sure that you're in the period of onboarding right now. Perhaps you need my services to help bridge the gap between how will I put it now? Sorry, I'm thinking on the fly. That's the reason why the thing is not clicking. Okay, anyway, so somebody shows that they're hiring salespeople. So the scope you will now use is you reach out and say, "Oh, madam, I now saw that. I saw your update on LinkedIn. Like I said, that you're expanding your marketing team, and I'm sure that you're in the process of onboarding. So, madam, have you guys come up with a content strategy for LinkedIn or a blog that you can use to help your people be more effective?" Something like that. And then you start the conversation. Some people say, "No, thank you, I'm not interested." Okay, that's not a problem. So another person might say, "Well, yes, actually, we've been thinking about a company blog, but I don't have any ideas. But young lady, honestly, I don't have money now." That's the kind of thing I say, oh, madam, that's not a problem. I'm willing to have a chat with you to explore some ideas around the content calendar or around content strategy. Um, uh, how do I put it? The scope would be that you just want to have a conversation with Madame Sha. Later on, you can now start talking budget. Because some people, when they say, I don't have money, what they mean is they think your service is going to cost 1 million. Meanwhile, they don't know that you'll be happy if you can just get like that kind 400K. So the scope is saying, oh, don't worry, madam. I'm willing to have a conversation with you. There's no obligation involved. Let's just have a look. Let's see what your content strategy is like and what ideas you can pursue. It's because you're hoping that you start the conversation first. And then later on, when you get to money expectations, and then madam is talking 1 million, 2 million, madam, it's not like that now. Yeah, for other people, yeah, but for me, actually, and then you will start talking the money conversation. So, where was I? Okay, so those are for people who are expanding and getting a marketing team. Then, uh, okay, all these people who also announce on LinkedIn, I am proud to announce people who have achieved funding or people who have received awards and things like that. So some of those people want to look more professional, so or they're trying to put out they're trying to write white papers, or they're trying to get come up with investor pitch decks, or they're looking for public relations articles. So people like that, it would be a good idea to reach out to those people. I'm proud to announce that I have finally secured um, round A funding for my startup, something, something, something. I am proud to announce that I just got accepted into the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Foundation, and we're now at so and so level, blah blah blah. So all that I'm proud to announce. I'm proud to announce that people like to announce on LinkedIn. That could be a trigger event. That could be a trigger signal for Jane Doe to reach out to them. Then another event could be content ghosting. Yeah, that's how Google Gemini put it. And the way that Google Gemini described content ghosting is this. There are some people that normally post steady. Like me, for instance. If you're on LinkedIn and you're connected to me, you will be tired. Okay, well, you won't be tired because I don't talk about the same thing every day. And basically what I do is I repurpose my podcast episodes, and I currently have over 1,300 of them. So it's a new thing every day. But if you follow me on LinkedIn, you will see that I'm in your feed every single day, and it's always business education. So, Google Gemini, what they're saying is there are some times that you see some people where they post steady every day, and after a while, they just disappear. That kind of person, if you slide into their DM to say, what's up? I noticed that you've been very visible before, but I haven't been seeing your content. How far? Is it that you're busy? I'll be like, what's going on? Get the person to talk a bit. From there, you can now slide into the, oh, okay, yep, you're in the busy season. Luckily for you, I'm in the business of providing content, blah, 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 blah. I would be happy to take this writing off of your plate so you can focus on your normal day to day operations, blah, blah, blah. That's how the conversation will flow. Now, hey, bro, before I've been to see you every single day. But for these last 2 weeks, you don't even post, not even one. Like, what's going on? Shebi is business stress, Abi. No problem, bros. That's what I'm here for. Content is my thing. While you're taking care of the clients, I can be taking care of the content. How far? So that'll be the scope of the conversation. So that's people who ghost, business ghosting. Then, let's see. Okay, this is already 30 minutes. So, the ideas are plenty. As I'm scrolling like this, I think Gemini came up to maybe like 10, 15 ideas. The ideas are plenty. But the reason why I'm making today's podcast episode is I just wanted you guys to see that for those of you who just wake up every day and you decide to send emails or DMs on LinkedIn, on social media, to people to say, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I do. Would you like to have a 15-minute discovery call to see whether there's a fit? You don't always have to do it that way. You actually can wait first and be looking for signals so that when you see that signal, it gives you more confidence that okay, this person might actually be looking for my product or looking for my service. Then you can now slide into their DM, and hopefully you're going to have a much more hospitable welcome. And for those of us who struggle with coming up with ideas, these free AI tools that I keep talking about over here on the podcast, the reason why I keep promoting these tools, see, they're not paying me, by the way. I wish they were. It would be nice to be receiving sponsorship money in dollars. But the reason why I talk about these things is this. These phones are already in our pocket. These apps are already there. These apps are just lying fallow. The app has been on your phone for the last 2 years, 3 years. You have not done anything with it. You might as well just use this thing to grow your business. What's the point of having a smartphone? Then the only thing you do with the smartphone is you watch Netflix. You now go and watch YouTube. You'll be looking at memes. You'll be looking at funny videos. You'll be looking at pictures of Tinubu falling in Turkey. Yeah, it's nice to be catching trips with your phone. But you're also supposed to be using your phone to grow your business. So start using your phone as a business tool, not just an entertainment piece. Maybe you don't have a physical office. Think of your phone as a digital office. So for those of you who work at home, everybody wakes up, they go to school or they go to work. You too, bring out your phone. Oh yeah, I'm in the office. Work don't start. Bring out your phone and say, work don't start. And then begin. Use these tools to grow your business. Speaking of growing your business, remember, I said that there are a bunch of you who want to start a business, but you're confused because you're good at 4, 5, 6, 7 different things. So reach out to me. I'll put together a coaching package. Let's make sure that you pick the right one of these your ideas to start a business with. Then we'll validate the idea. We will make sure that there is a demand for this idea and that people are willing to pay better money so that you can invest back into the business and also you have something behind so that you can flex. Also, we'll come up with a selling system to make sure that people don't just buy today, but they come back and buy from you tomorrow, next tomorrow, and then after a while, they come and refer their friends, their family members, their associates. Because when we're in sales, when we're in business, what we're trying to do actually is we're trying to hook up recurring income. Recurring income just means I am here minding my business and then money they find me, money they find me, money they chase me. I am here and people are the ones that are saying, oh boy, how far? Take my money. That's what we try to do in sales. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I've been able to touch someone in Jane Doe's situation as well, Jane Doe's context. You're sending messages out to people, one or two people don't shout for you, don't be discouraged. Don't say this thing doesn't work. It works. We just need to look for a smarter way of doing it. And so for some of you, the smarter way might be instead of just sending out these messages every single day, maybe you'll be calm first. When you wake up and you're on your timeline, you'll just be scrolling, you'll be looking. Trigger signal, trigger signal, trigger signal. Okay, I have seen a trigger signal. Let me slide into this person's DM. So for some of you, that might be the solution. And in fact, if you have issues in this regard, just like Jane Doe, reach out. Let me see if I can help. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you all at some other episode. And remember, whether you want to reach out to see how you can start your business in 3 easy steps, or whether you want to reach out to see how you can apply these ideas around the trigger signals in your business, the phone number to call or to text or to WhatsApp is 080-6466-2140. I'll catch you all some other time.